we've got some hair here. This is the material that you mix with mortar?
This is a fine goat hair. Nice and soft and flexible, see how it bends. You tease it into the mixer with your thumb and forefinger like this. Okay.
Right.
Some of the people shake it if it comes loose, if it's this type of, but it's matte. You see it's matte, so the stuff will adhere to it, and it's flexible. So as it goes through,
right.
You see how that bends,
yes.
and that will go through
Absolutely.
whilst it's in the mix.
Right.
That's goat hair. This is slightly more unusual. These are Chinese pig bristles. Now, to put this goat hair, or indeed this white yak hair, into the mix, would take approximately 40 minutes to get an even flow of hair in. Otherwise it clogs up in the paddles. You have to be,
right.
This stuff you can put in 5 minutes. It just falls apart, this stiff pig bristles, you see that? Still, again, nice and flexible.
And what's the difference between in terms of application?
None whatsoever. It's just what hair is available at the time.
Right.
We prefer pig bristles. We usually use the badger coloured pig bristles because they're slightly more matte than this black. Okay, but it separates easily. Look,
that's
you see that? You see how easily that separates. This is a softer this yak's hair. It's white. We use this internally because internally.
So that's not an exterior.
You can use it exterior, but we use this for our internal work because we mix it with this here, which is chalk. Now we use this chalk as the aggregate. Instead of sand, we use chalk. It's got some straw in it, this chalk. Now we use this as the aggregate and we mix that with the lime putty, 3 parts chalk, 1 part putty, heavily haired with this hair cut to this length, and that is a 1 coat. You can do 1 coat over lathes. And
right.
Traditionally, they use it all the time, or they did use it all the time.
Is this used on interior only or exterior?
No, you can use it exteriorly, but you don't get as nice a finish as
right.
you would do on a float finish sand. You get the smoothness, but you won't get as good a float finish as what you would out here.
So you mix that purely with lime putty and the chalk? Is it 1 to 1 or?
No, 3 to 1.
3 to 1.
3
okay.
to 1, but you can 1 coat that. You can put 1 coat of that on.
Yeah, and this application is for interior, and then you've got this other material.
This is chopped straw. It's blown dry. It's used for horses. Now we put that in every mix. We put a couple of big double handfuls in every mix. It's a wonderful fibre. It goes into the mix. It's a wonderful fibre, and more importantly than that, it retains the moisture. It holds moisture, which releases it slowly back into the mix, stops it drying too quick.
So you'll save cracking on in that respect?
You will. Yeah. If it cures, the slower it cures, the better it is. So it's a twofold thing. And in fact, when we're working on solid work, clay lump, something of that ilk, a porous brick, red stocks, we would just use this. In that case, we would put 4 double handfuls, no more, no less, 4 good double handfuls into the mix. That will disperse through. It's a nice fibre and retains the moisture.
And clearly you can mix these all together if you wish to.
Yes, we do.
In one mix.
We do. Normal mix, we'd use half a bucket of hair when it's teased, so it's all opened out.
Yeah.
Half a bucket of hair, and half a bucket of straw. Combine the 2 together.
Right.
Belt and braces.
Right.
Belt and braces, really, mate.
So you've got about a yard of sand here, Bill. What
yeah,
kind of sand is it?
There's a ton of sand. This is again a local sand. It's what's known locally around here as a medium sharp. Mm-hmm. It's got plenty of aggregate in it, but the aggregate isn't too large. Obviously, for top coat work when you're pargeting, you might be doing some fine work, so you don't want large aggregate and stones coming to the front. It's a bit of a myth with sand, really, Peter. You could use a sand with plenty of large aggregate and they can still crack. People think if you use a sharp sand, it won't crack. Well, it will. This sand here has got aggregate. It's a regular shaped aggregate. If you roll a sand in your hand and the aggregate rolls around on the palm of your hand, it's not really much good. It's a floating motion when you're plastering that compresses it in. And if the aggregate is round and just rolls around under the throat, you're not compressing it. So what you've got to look for is uneven shapes in the aggregate and various sizes. You can push them together, the lime will get in between the aggregate and adhere to it.
So it's coating each particle, really.
It is. We've been using this sand for a good 20 odd years.
And do you use this sand on the backing coat and the top
We use it
coat?
on every coat. We use it wherever we go. What I tend to do is if we find a material that works, just stick with it. It's such a nice, fine, workable sand that you can parge it with it. You can do anything with this sand, you know. So as a good rendering sand, we use this all the time. It's very similar to a sand you'll get in the London area called Leighton Buzzard, which is a redder sand, but it's the same sort of consistency, the same aggregate shape and size in it.
But of course, throughout the country, because of the geology of the area, you're going to get
Different
sands
sands,
and
different
colours
sands.
to suit local requirements.
It is, and a lot of it is error and judgment. You could try a sand and you think it'd be fine. We had an instance of that a while back. We was out of our area. We used a local sand, a real nice sharp sand. We thought, and it cracked like anything. So it is all trial and error. And when you find a good sand like this, just stick with it.
So this is the lime here.
Yes, this is the lime putty. We have that delivered on site in these 40-litre tubs.
Right.
Comes up from the West Country. There are no manufacturers of lime putty in East Anglia anymore. This stuff is dug out the ground and put in the kiln up in Derbyshire, I believe.
Right.
And it's sent down to the West Country. It's slaked in Somerset.
So basically it's limestone that's been put in a kiln. It then comes out and is slaked.
Yeah.
And then what you get is the finished product.
It's the finished product, yeah. It's left to sit for a minimum of 3 months.
And there's no point in spending your time getting the lump lime, which has been burnt,
Oh, God, no.
and slaking it yourself.
No, not in this day and age. No. You know, you can just send away, work it out. We use 8 of these tubs per tonne of sand.
Right.
Per tonne of sand will do 25 finished metres of wall, 2 coats.
Right.
So really, you can go to a job, measure up your meterage, order up enough sand, always go a bit over because you're always going to use more than what you think. Order up that, tip it out like that, then start mixing it, then stacking it up.
Is it dangerous in this state?
You've got to watch it. It will burn your skin. Wear rubber gloves. Always wear goggles when you're working with it because it gets into your eye and of course it burns. It's lime. I mean, they used to use lime to dispose of bodies. You know.
Of course, because you're not slaking it, you haven't got that dangerous
No,
element of
not at all.
of all the bubbling and the heat and all the rest of it, where it is quite dangerous. And
Yeah.
that's when you're disposing of your bodies.
It's just common sense, health and safety.
Yeah.
Wear goggles. We use this lime 99% of the time.
Right.
Occasionally we may use a powdered hydraulic lime, only on a solid background, brickwork or something like that. But 99% of the time we use this fat lime and we got on fine with it.
And how do you mix all this up?
In a pan mixer, we use one of these pan mixers here.
Should
we go
have
and
a
look?
at that?
Yeah. Mixer we use for the first mixing.
What kind of mixer is this?
Standard pan mixer. These are made in Norway. It's only a small one. They're very good at mixing up for the first coat.
Ooh.
Right, so we start her up and mix the first one.
Absolutely. What have we got inside it though? Can you just explain what's inside here?
Just these twisting blades. They come off for cleaning.
And what's the difference between this type of mixer and the ordinary?
A bell mixer's got paddles in the side of it that don't rotate, so the stuff is pushed through the bars. This works its way through the mix. Mix it up a lot quicker and a lot thorougher. So really, this cuts down the mixing time by 50%.
Right.
So we can mix up the first lot, stack it all up, and put it in a heap, so we can get this done. You know, you imagine when we first turn up on site, average cottage 8 to 10 tonne of gear. So you know, a couple of 3 days, it's done with one of these mixers.
Can we fire it up and see
We
what
can
happens?
fire it up. Well, first of all, Fred has put in 2 buckets of sand. This pan mixer, for health and safety reasons, won't work until the lid is pushed down.
So you've got 2 buckets of sand and 1 of lime.
One of
putty.
lime, yeah. Now we'll shut the lid and start her up.
That was quite quiet, isn't it?
Yes. This will be
proportion.
3 buckets of sand and 1
Right.
bucket of lime putty.
Right.
3 in 1 mix.
And is that the kind of mix you'd use on all your coats?
All
or
our jobs, yeah.
3 in 1, all the way through.
Occasionally I may use 2.5 and 1 for the first coat. Important thing with this stuff is weaker over stronger. Don't do it the other way around. You don't put a stronger mix over a weaker mix.
So you're using the mix from here that will then go over to the pile over.
That'll go over on the
we'll be
heap and
looking up.
and be stacked up for a minimum of 2 to 2 weeks.
Right.
Absolute minimum. Yeah.
And you would then use the bell mixer to put the hair in
Exactly.
and the straw. But you wouldn't. Why wouldn't you use this one to do that?
What happens with these mixers, they're great, these mixers, but once you get the hair in, it will just push the hair in front.
So
it
it's
won't,
not mixing it, it's just
no,
pushing it
it
in
pushes
front.
it
Okay.
around, yeah. Can you put the other bucket in now then, Fred? As you can see, that goes straight through the grill. On the continent, they use these teeth here are for breaking bags open, you know, so
Oh, I
they
see.
use this for a
Yes.
lot of cement. But you can see how nice and even it gets the mix, it knocks any lumps out, which is another thing you have to watch for. You have to watch for lumps of lime. You might get lumps of pure lime so big. Okay, there's one going around there now. You must watch them because if you plaster the wall with those in it, they will pop out.
They'll blow.
They will blow. Yeah.
Right.
So a mixer like this, you'll get 6 buckets of sand and 2 buckets of putty in. That'd be your standard mix.
You only put one in. Do you have?
We've
to
only put one in.
You
then-
won't, you won't run. Will you put the other bucket through this of lime, or do you? lift it
No,
up?
the lime goes in, lift it up, tip the lime in, and the sand goes through the top.
Okay.
So we do that now. Always stand back from the mixer when the lime's going in so that you don't get any. Right, now we'll shut the lid on that and start her up, and away we go. Now you read in a lot of the textbooks about not adding water to the mix. Now you notice we haven't added any water at all to this because that sand has been, we've had the sheet off of that sand and we've had a lot of rain recently.
Right.
But
would you ever? Would
Yes.
you ever put water in
yes,
it?
we do. The stuff has got to be workable. It's ludicrous to think that you're going to put a 40-metre gable with dry stuff on. You know, that's okay for doing little patches with a gauging trowel, but in reality, if you're plastering that stuff up a wall, it's got to be flexible. You've got to have water in it. You know, the stuff has got to be workable.
It's common sense, really, isn't
It
it?
is common sense. I mean, okay, the more water in it, the more shrinkage you get, but it doesn't really work like that, you know. Okay, so that's the mixer full now. As you can see, it's going around nicely. That won't take too long.
Now, of course, once this gear's mixed up, this lime putty, and then it becomes mortar,
Yes,
that will last forever, won't it?
it will last
With-
forever.
providing
It's covered.
it's covered with water or a sheet or something, as long as the air doesn't get to it.
As long as you don't get too much air to it, but even if the air gets to it, it only hardens up the surface by this much.
But this is interesting because this is the reverse of cement, where with cement you put water with it,
Yes, you do. You do.
but with lime you don't.
No, no. I mean, you see that's more than pliable. Look how lovely that is. We've had a wet summer, but we would, normally a mix like this, we'd use a bucket of water, Fred? We'd use a bucket of water, wouldn't we? Yeah, we'd use a whole bucket of water in this. And then this, like you say, this would be taken out then, barreled across, laid on some sheeting, laid on some plywood sheeting, shovel up, and we put 2 tarpaulin sheets on it. I'm doing a job elsewhere, a big Jacobean house. I've been working on that 9 years now. I started in 1999 and I'm still using the stuff I mixed up in 1999.
Is there any advantage of you mixing your lime putty up and your mortar, or which I suppose in a sense called coarse stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Is there any advantage of using that and doing that beforehand and just keeping it in a pit?
It's more pliable.
Yeah.
It's better stuff. The
But
longer
do
it
you
sits.
do that?
Yes,
You do that.
yes, I do. The longer the stuff, we've got stuff stacked here now from other jobs. There's always some left over, and we just stack it up to the following year. We put the ready mixed stuff back in these large plastic tubs. It's all stored. Next spring, we put it in the van, take it to a job, tip it out, put it through the mixer. Some of the stuff there, you see, it's done now.
And you'd add a bucket of water to that now, you would?
No, we wouldn't add no water
not
to
now,
this.
because it's too wet.
Because the sand's too wet, yeah. But normally, summertime, you would. You'd put a bucket of water. You want to get it to this consistency, which
Looks
I'll
like
show
this.
you now.
Looks like porridge.
It does. There we go. Can I just have that gauge of Frederick? Thank you. Okay, that's the consistency of it, you see.
My next question is, how on earth do you get that out of there?
Aha. We shall show you. Have we got a tub for it? And out she comes.
Oh, it's straightforward, really.
What we've found is one tub of putty and 3 tubs of sand is 1 barrelful. You know, so you've got 160 litres of stuff. Then there are 40 litres in every one of those tubs, and that is a standard 1 barrelful. We'll do 5 square metres on a scratching coat. You get 40 square metres per tonne on the backing coat. You'll get 25 on the finishing coat, because a lot of the stuff is going through on the lathes.
So what have we got here?
This is
Bill?
the stuff this stuff here has been mixed up 6 or 7 weeks now, Peter. As you can see, it's just right. What we do, we mix the stuff up to start with, gauge it out 3 and 1. We mix a good banker up. Maybe, I think there's probably about 12 tonne of mixed up stuff here.
Right.
Put it in a big heap, cover it with sheets and dust sheets, keep it moist, and let it sit. Minimum 2 weeks, absolute minimum, I think. What it does, lime shrinks. Lime shrinks. So once you've mixed the lime with the sand, let it bond together. So instead of it being lime and sand, it's lime plaster. It's the two are amalgamated. It's one thing. Reduces shrinkage enormously.
So at this stage, you haven't got any hair in or straw in?
No, we don't
Absolutely
put the
not.
hair in until prior to application.
Why is that?
Lime will rot the hair.
But what about the straw? Will it rot the straw?
No, it won't rot the straw, funny enough. You can put the straw in, the straw seems to be fine. But as we mix up, we put the straw and hair in at the same time. So basically, it's mix the stuff up, stack it, cover it in plastic. We do that first when we arrive on site. Then we start taking all the cement render off, do all the oak globs, do all that kind of stuff. That takes us normally a couple of weeks. 3 weeks would be better. The longer it sits, the better it is. Then put it in the mixer and add the fibre.
And you've got lime here and sand